New footage has emerged of fire at an oil refinery in Russia's southern Krasnodar region after a second explosion occurred following a fuel spill in one of its tanks. The second explosion occurred while an attempt was being made to extinguish the fire. 2 firefighters were injured as a result of fire. Some 456 firefighters and 181 special equipment have been deployed to extinguish the fire, which spread over an area of 10,000 square meters. Local residents who filmed the footage said the fire had spread throughout the entire area of the plant. It should be noted that a Ukrainian kamikaze drone strike on March 19 damaged a pipeline connecting the tanks. The plant had to temporarily suspend operations. Located 400 kilometers from the front line with Ukraine, the plant has an annual production capacity of 6.6 million tons.
Рядом стоят, вот сейчас весь дым, знаете, на цистерны идет, походу, рванут эти. Очень напряженная. Вот так вот.
Взорвалась вся база. Все горит. Очень страшно.
An explosion occurred at an oil refinery in the Krasnodar region of Russia. The incident occurred on March 19 during the extinguishing of a fire that had been raging for 3 days as a result of a strike by Ukrainian drones. Local media reported this. The cause of the incident was a spill of fuel from one of the oil reservoirs. 2 firefighters were injured and 3 pieces of equipment were damaged during the explosion. The fire spread to an area of 10,000 square meters. Currently, 2 reservoirs are burning. 456 firefighters and 181 special equipment are involved in extinguishing the fire. It should be noted that the pipeline connecting the reservoirs was also damaged as a result of the strike. The plant had to temporarily suspend its operations. The annual production capacity of the plant, located 400 kilometers from the front line with Ukraine, is 6.6 million tons.
Жопа полная. А там емкости все полностью, все с нефтью, полностью. Там их штук 5-6, наверное, бочек этих, может больше.
Все небо озарилось. Я в шоке. Смотри на мой телефон. Привет. Все небо озарилось. Я в шоке. Смотри на мой телефон.
In the Russian armed forces, in the midst of their offensive in the Kursk region, began to have problems in the Belgorod region border area. A number of Z channels wrote in panic about a large-scale breakthrough of the Ukrainian armed forces across the border. Dialogue media outlet found out what actually happened. The informations confirm the intensification of fighting between the Ukrainian Defense Forces and the Russian armed forces in several areas in the Belgorod region of the Russian Federation. Presumably, the clashes occurred near the villages of Demidovka, Marino, Prilesyi and Liptsi. The VCHK VIP-OGPU channel, which is associated with the Russian Special Services, claims that the Russian Federation has begun an urgent evacuation of residents of the border village of Krasnaya Yaruga and other settlements in this region. The Ukrainian armed forces filled the ditch right during the day and removed the dragon's teeth. Fighting is underway. It is expected that the Ukrainian armed forces will use reserves at night. If this happens, the situation for the Russian armed forces will become very difficult, the Russian channel wrote. He claims that military special forces of the Russian armed forces were urgently deployed to the area. Another fist strike is expected in the area of the village of Zolochiv, Kharkiv region. The Ukrainian armed forces have amassed significant forces, the Russian resource wrote. Z-Channel, Northern Channel, associated with the Russian army, also expects a more powerful strike by the Ukrainian armed forces. There is still movement on the border. Enemy groups are prowling along the line and are not sitting idle. Small groups are probing our positions and sappers are clearing passages. It does not look like such things are being done for no reason. The enemy is preparing a site and is going to use it, he said. Russian military expert Yan Matveyev, commenting on the intensification of fighting in the Belgorod region, suggested that this is an attempt to pull Russian forces away from the Kursk direction. All this does not look like a full-fledged offensive, but rather a serious diversionary maneuver to force the Russian command to transfer forces from the Kursk region to defend the rest of the border. It is too early to draw serious conclusions, he wrote on Telegram. The statement was made by the head of the Center for Countering Disinformation of the National Security and Defense Council of Ukraine, Andriy Kovalenko. According to him, the fighting is the result of the activity of the Russian forces in this area. The Russians brought troops to the border in Belgorod region. Their sabotage groups were operating. Of course, in such cases, the defense forces act and neutralize the threats, the officer wrote. This information was confirmed by a serviceman of the Ukrainian armed forces who anonymously runs a blog called Bakhmut Demon. The Russian sabotage and reconnaissance group tried to enter from the Belgorod side. In response, they received, and ours entered the territory of the Belgorod region. But there is no talk of breaking through the border yet. The Ukrainian armed forces soldier assured